Yo, today we're covering how to add lighting into any scene inside of After Effects. But this ain't another regular tutorial, no. After we add the lighting in, I'm going to show you guys my personal stack of effects to make it look much more realistic and make it actually look like it's supposed to be in your scene, which is the most important part. By the way, if you don't know me, my name's Cam. I run the store on thecam.com where I help editors like yourself speed up that workflow and save a bunch of time and money while you're at it. But back to why you clicked on the video. Let's jump into After Effects and get this effect going. So this is the first clip we're going to be working with. I've got some data in the back that I'll be able to track. So let's just see how it goes. 3D camera tracker, make sure to add that in. You can add it in via the effects tab, or you can go over to the tracker tab and just click track camera. Either way, it will work the same way. So now our camera's been tracked and you can see we've got points pretty much everywhere. It's a bit more difficult when he's right in the middle and he's put his hands up, but the rest of it is genuinely okay. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to press create camera. I'm then going to drag my lightning clip on. If you do want to use the same one as me, I have it linked down in the description below, so go check it out. Alright, so step number 1, motion blur and the 3D both selected. Then press P so you open up your X, your Y, and then your Z. Main one we're going to be focusing on is the Z values. So if we put it to like 1600, you can see it's way too in front. The main reason the values are going to have to be so high is because these points are far away, right? So let's put the Z value to, I don't know, 10,000 maybe. So after 10,000, let's see how that looks. You see, even 10,000 is quite close, so it's cutting it fine. I'm going to put it to 35,000. And then when you can't see it, just scale it up. And now I'm just going to double check the movement to see if it looks okay. I'm happy with that movement for the lightning I'm going to have in the front. So I'm going to use my X, Y, and Z plane rotations to pretty much just drag it around so roughly it lines up with how the sky's looking normally, right? So that looks okay to me. I'm going to press S to scale it up even more, roughly to something like this maybe. But you can see my camera track isn't amazing near the start, which is normal because his hands are interfering with it, which can happen. So what I'm actually going to do is phase it over to roughly where there's no action happening for that second. Then it will come in at the right time. So it's all about positioning your clips in the right place. But for me, I'm okay with that. I'm going to drag it slightly up, roughly to about here, and keep adjusting it over and over again till I'm happy. Then I'm going to go onto the blending mode and set it to screen. So you can see we've still got a lot of work we need to do with it. So before anything else, I'm going to double click on this layer and it will open up the actual footage layer itself. I want you to go onto the mask tool, the pen tool I mean, and then just make a really quick looking mask like this. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means. No super harsh lines, something like this will do you more than fine. You don't have to be very specific with this at all, I'll show you why. So back in the composition, you can see the edges are still looking terrible. So what I'm going to do is go into the mask layer itself, then go down to mask expansion and drag it in, and I'll show you why in a second. The reason we do a mask expansion inwards is so we can add more feather, right? So if you didn't have that expansion done, you can see the feather will still trigger the edges of this box right here, which is not what we want. So we need to shift the edges with the mask expansion all the way in to roughly about the same as me. Do whatever you want, but it's just so we can blend it in with the environment a lot nicer. Looks a lot more realistic as well. Now, rotation wise, I'm not too happy with it, so I'm just going to keep messing about. I might even stick with this side to start with, actually. Scale it up in the way. Scale it up same way. Bring this one to the corner. I want this one to be a little bit more subtle than the other ones. Now, for just being one of the ones we're doing, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to move on to the next one now, though. Now you've done the main thing of setting your Z values, it's a lot more simpler now. All you need to do is press Ctrl D and move along your lightning layer to something a bit different, just by dragging it along to a separate part of the clip, just so it's not the same as that previous one you've just done, and drag it around and find another nice spot you want to do. In my case, bit further back. Oh, not that though. Bit further back, nice bit of rotation, and let's see what that's looking like. So one thing you'll develop over time is actually if it looks right or not, which does take practice, but just through like the rough subtle movements, it looks like it's not supposed to be there. So I'm actually going to go back into the position and set the Z value to, let's say, a 50,000, just like that. Now I'm going to drag it up and see what that's looking like. Then just keep dragging this along until I find a bit I like. Also going to scale it up again, move it in. So I'm actually quite happy with that. So I'm going to duplicate it once again, bring this one a bit more forward to, let's say, 40,000, because now instead of it being on the sides, I'm going to have it all the way up here. So I'm going to drag it here, press S to scale it up, and I think this will just tie everything quite nicely together. Let's see though. Play with the rotation a bit as well, and you can see now we've got a little bit of a nice touch added. Let me just drag this along a little bit. So now we've got 3 layers. You can see we've got one on the left, one on the right, and one in the front. Now we're gonna actually press Ctrl D to duplicate it once again. And on this one, I'm gonna set the Z value to, let's say, 65,000, because the higher the Z value is, the further away it is from the camera, same vice versa. So I'm gonna bring it roughly just down here, press S to scale it down, because I want this one to be further away near that city. So I'm just dragging this around once again to get a bit more variation compared to our other ones. And let's take a look at this now. Like I said, just keep messing about with it until you find something you like. I'm just gonna mess around and keep dragging it until I find something I'm happy with. So I'm quite happy with the rough positioning of where all the lighting is. So I'm actually gonna keep that how it is now. I'm gonna go onto my layer at the bottom. I've already done it. Just press Ctrl D and drag it to the top. So you won't see, if you've done it right, you won't see the lightning anymore because you've just copied your normal clip. Now, you just need to rotor brush out your main character in the foreground or any objects that are in the foreground as well. This will add to the realism because, you know, in real life, you don't normally have, you don't normally have lightning passing through a man's face. Not quite. So you need to make sure you're rotor brushing your clips always. I'm not going to bore you with the details here, but I'm just going to quickly rotor brush out my character and I'll be back once I'm done. So to me, that's not completely perfect, but it will do the trick. So I'm going to press freeze now and wait for that to finish. So those are my final rotor brush settings if you do want to copy them. Now on to the next step. I told you, man, I don't gatekeep on this channel. I'm going to show you how to turn this lightning into something much more realistic with a certain stack of effects I use every single time, by the way. So let's get into it. So I'm going to find a frame where I can see everything in focus. For example, with this one, you can kind of see everything quite clearly here. So I'm going to add in the following stack of effects and watch along closely and copy. We're going to add in a lumetri color. Then after that, add in a camera lens blur. Then after that, you need to add in a noise HLS. This is the stack of effects I use for composite in lightning in general, and it looks really good after we're done with it. So let's get into the settings now. Go into basic correction lumetri color and start adjusting your temperature and your tint to your environment. As you can see with the color grade of this video, it's very tealish, very coldish looking. Also, I just realized before anything else, go into your bottom layer and untick render track points. But yeah, I'm gonna just play with the temperature and the tint until I get something I like. I'm also going to make it slightly more greenish by dragging the tint to the left as well, and then dragging the temperature down as well. And to me, that looks a lot more integrated into the scene. But now onto the final steps. We're going to go onto the contrast, up the contrast a little bit, up the highlights as well, and lower the shadows. Keep playing with this until you find something you like. So now, those are my final lumetri color settings. To me, that looks a lot better. But now onto the final touches we need to add in. For a camera lens blur, kind of as a camera works, you know, the more closer it is, the more in focus we're going to have it. And then with the one that's all the way at the back, we're going to add a bit more of a camera blur, right? This will just all add to the realism more and more as we do it. So I'm going to set that to maybe a 7% instead, just to keep it subtle. That's the main thing, to keep things subtle. Now, once you're done with all these 3 effects stacked on top of each other, highlight all of them and paste it onto all of your lightning layers, yeah? And now everything will look so much better, trust me. But before anything else, we'll go onto the lightning we set at the furthest distance and change the blur. We're going to change the camera blur to roughly 20% and see how that looks. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks okay to me. So 20% on that one, and then come back to the one that's completely the closest to the camera. And I'm going to set that to only like a 4% instead. So there's one more thing you can do. Press Ctrl-Alt-Y and add in a flicker effect of your choice. I made a previous video on my channel on how to make a flicker for free, but I'm going to be using the sapphire one just for how easy it really is, just by me adding it in. And to me, that makes it look a lot more kind of integrated in and realistic, right? So I'm pretty happy with that, guys. And there we go.